Jeff Snyder here at the Kia Telluride Supper Suite in Park City, and we're sitting down with the team behind Wander Darkly. We've got writer-director Tara Miele and stars Diego Luna and Sienna Miller. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
So Tara, for the folks at home, why don't you tell them what is this project actually about and what is the genesis of it?
Sure. Wander Darkly is about a couple. They're new parents. They're going through a difficult time in their relationship when they get into a pretty brutal car crash. So in the aftermath, Adrienne, played by the delightful Sienna Miller, finds herself in this state of purgatory and is questioning everything about her life. And Matteo, her partner, tries to sort out truth from fiction for her, and together they sort of relive the past to see how they will navigate their future.
And where did it sort of start for you? Like, what inspired you to write this?
So my husband and I survived a pretty bad crash about 6 years ago. We're fine, totally fine. But I was quite concussed for a bit, and we have 2 little kids, which also sort of changes your sense of your own mortality.
Sure.
And I think we were like at my mom's house at Thanksgiving that year, and the kids are crying and someone's fighting about turkey, and I just was like, we're so lucky. I was really overwhelmed by this sense of gratitude for the messy little lives, like the delicate and just the messy little lives we were leading, and I was very desperate to share that feeling.
And so, Sienna and Diego, why don't you tell me what attracted you to the characters of Adrienne and Matteo?
It was more that when I read the script, I had a pretty intense emotional reaction to it. And I think whenever that happens, you've got to look a little deeper at why. And it probably means it's something that I'm going to want to explore. But I think for me personally, the notion of spending the time to go back and reflect and look at the beats of a relationship that can be minor and insignificant, but where people just go wrong. That really landed in a beautiful way. It was a very moving script. It was an amazing piece, and Tara, I thought, did such a wonderful job. And then Dee and I have been friends for a long time and have always wanted to work together, and this just felt like the right thing.
Yeah, it wasn't the character, it was the relation, and the perspective, the tone and the point of view of the script. I think it is a very smart way to look at a relation and to look about love, and it was a challenge, As an actor, I saw an amazing challenge. It was. It reminded me a little bit the work you do in theater, because there's always this level of consciousness that is you're an actor playing a character, but there's a character reflecting on his life. Therefore, it's another actor, kind of thing. So there's these moments in the film that are, very theatrical, and I love theater, and I thought it was a great chance to do a film that I haven't seen, basically, and that doesn't happen often.
Have either of you ever been in like a rocky relationship where you had to navigate a life-changing type event like this? It's a loaded question.
Why don't you tell us?
I've definitely hit bumps in relationships, and I've definitely, in reflection of those moments, been sad that something wasn't examined perhaps as deeply as it could have done. I've never had a significant sort of moment where it was a life or death moment that then caused that kind of reflection, thank God. But I think I personally do look back. So this suited me.
Okay. Tara, I understand that this film has some interesting tonal shifts. Can you sort of talk about that and how it, fuses genres, if you will?
Yeah, so I think when I was writing the script, I just didn't think about genre at all. I felt like I knew the story so wholly, and I wanted to create something that worked in the way my brain works, which is very rarely in the present, but often sort of in the past or projecting into the future. And I think also within real life, we have moments of humor and moments of horror and moments of deep drama. And I think for me, it all often happens at the exact same time. And so I very much wanted to figure out, and that was actually, I think, our biggest challenge on set was, but there has to be this moment of lightness, but like it can't be ridiculous. It can't be like losing the emotion of the scene as well. And so Sienna and Diego, thank God, are like, we're able to do these hairpin turns where something is like, devastating, and then suddenly there's humor, and then, anyway, thank goodness they were able to figure out what it all meant off of the page.
We pretend really well.
Yeah, we were like,
Good pretenders.
This being Collider, you know, our audience is big into comic book movies, that kind of stuff. I understand recently directed a couple episodes of Arrow and Batwoman.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, do you want to continue pursuing? Are you trying to get like a comic book feature or anything?
You know,
for those jobs?
it's interesting. I quite like doing lots of different things. And I think as long as a project has something that excites me and is new, I mean, like obviously with Wander Darkly, I was like, this is really hard and weird. Let's try it. I really live in that space where I don't know if it's going to work. And I love that space because that's a really nice, big question place to be in. So I'm living in that question right now of like, what is this next thing? So I am writing, I'll say that much. But I would love to have big resources to do big stuff on a big stage.
And Diego and Sienna, both of you would make incredible comic book characters. Is there anyone who you'd want to play down the line in the future?
oh my God.
Difficult one.
I mean, I had a soft spot for Catwoman. That ship has obviously sailed, but I would have loved to do that. I don't know.
I don't know if that ship sailed. Every 5 years they reboot
There's a
Batman.
new
You still
one.
got a chance, yeah.
Like a 40-year-old Catwoman. Yeah,
I'm into it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm not up to speed on comic books, but I really enjoy watching them. Yes, I will do one somewhere.
We'll go. It'll be great. It'll be fun.
Fly Girl or something.
Diego?
I don't know. I'm still waiting for the Latin American superhero. You know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you
that
just
that
made
drives
it.
in
You
a
just got
beetle.
that part.
No. That.
be cool.
Yeah. A beetle that flies.
Isn't there a Blue Beetle movie?
No. I mean the beetle, the car.
The car,
you
VW
know? It's
beetle.
like a taxi, a Mexican taxi that flies.
Oh, wow.
And
All
then out of it comes this Mexican superhero.
Someone
Something
is
like
literally
that.
going to write this as you.
I was gonna say,
I was like, this is already made.
Right
Just
place,
literally
right?
got a job. In which case, I'll be in that as the kind of gringo sidekick.
I'll be
I'll be
directing.
the car mechanic, and you can do it.
I'll learn
Done.
Spanish.
Done.
Someone
All
at
in
this
Spanish,
festival's
yeah.
ready to greenlight this whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, the lovely Lynette Howell-Taylor produced this
Aw.
film. My
the
dear
legend.
pal.
The legend.
And she is
Legend.
The lady.
producing a little thing called the Oscars in a couple of weeks.
The what?
I feel like she should have you guys come out as presenters together, plug
Yeah,
this
like
movie.
Lynette.
Would you be open to that idea?
I actually am presenting every award. It's just me.
You're
There's no one else.
Tara.
It's
You're
me.
hosting.
Lynette.
They
They
think
have
we
questions for
should
you.
all come and present at the Oscars. Who are just.
But I said I'm
wondering-
the only one that's going to do it.
Would you guys be open to that idea, though, if they asked you?
to present at the Oscars.
Yeah.
We've done it before. We'll do it again. I mean,
Why not? I mean, if we have to.
yeah, it's quite late notice. That's what I'm saying. I think we'd probably know by now if we were presenting at the Oscars. wouldn't we?
Fair enough. Now, Diego, I owe you an apology.
Why?
Because when you were cast as Scarface, I was a little skeptical. I was like, those are big shoes to fill. I don't know if I see him as a drug kingpin. And then I see you play the guy on Narcos Mexico.
My God.
And you're incredible on the show. And I've seen
Thank
the
you.
entire second season.
You've seen it.
We won't get into spoilers, I promise. But you know, for the folks at home who are fans of the show and can't wait for it to return, what is in store for Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo
A
this
lot of
season?
blow. There you go. Spoiler.
Well, it just the only thing I can say is that it's quite scary because it's getting really close. You know, it's getting. I remember that Mexico. I grew up in that Mexico, and the names you start hearing are still out there. You know, and the well, not the real bad guys because I mean it's not about good and bad, but there's so many people walking in the streets that should be in jail these days, making decisions in my country, and hearing those names is quite scary because it's getting close.
All right, the law's closing in on you. Fair
Yeah.
enough. And are you still doing that Scarface movie? Are you still attached to that, or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Sienna, I thought you were wonderful in American Woman.
Thank you.
And the critical support was there, but the film kind of flew under the radar as far as awards recognition. Do you think that the Oscars are kind of biased in favor of studio movies with big campaigns behind them?
I don't think it's the Oscars necessarily. I think so much rides on when a movie is released and, unfortunately, how much money they have to spend on print and advertising. And with a small movie like this, I don't think it should have come out in June. It's sad because that kind of recognition does just move a needle in a way that would be useful. Just keep on trucking. That's
Well, it's a
my-
wonderful
that's my-
performance. So
yeah.
if you guys haven't seen it, definitely track it down.
Thank you.
I also wanted to ask you because I love the loudest voice. I thought it was brilliant. So did you happen to see Bombshell?
I did.
What was your take on that movie as someone who was in the other Roger Ailes project?
I thought it was a different take. I am huge fans of those 3 pretty phenomenal powerhouse women. And it was really interesting because it was so different. We obviously had a lot more time to go deeper into him specifically. But I liked that there was a film about more about the female perspective. They're both valid and necessary, and I think it's a good moment to be having those kinds of discussions about those kinds of people. Yeah.
Well, it was wonderful. And we're going to get to we have a few supercut questions I'm going to ask in just a second. But before I do, I got to ask about the Cassian Andor series. Can you sort of give us an update on the timeline of when things might get underway shooting? Or for me, Diego?
No, it has to be this year, obviously. And it's happening. They're writing at the moment.
Tony Gilroy came in, right?
It's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes. It's gonna be fun. And I'm excited. I can't wait to go back and look younger. You know?
All right. Thank you guys for coming in. The team behind Wander Darkly. Thank you to the Kia Supper Suite for having us. And stay tuned for more from Park City.